Wow, my camera video looks like it's worse than usual. Okay, today is April 1st, 2017. I'm sick with the flu. I left work on Thursday. Um, it's ironic that certain things I see just kind of correlate with what's been going on in my life. I want to come back and, like, I said some things recently that I need to elaborate on in a way, and also, like, kind of in a way, like apology for my bad attitude and stuff. Like, things are just kind of changing in my world right now, and I want to just explain what I see going on from my own end in life right now, and maybe offer some advice in case it's useful. Um, so I just woke up. Um, the issue here is like, somebody's talking about hate and disrespect now, and this has been a big deal in my life right now. So, like, I got really upset with, like, the way I was being treated in my relationship, and part of it's communication, another part of it's, like, cultural problems and stuff, and some of it's the external environment, and my job too isn't helping. Like, there's a racist on our job site that is going rampant, and I'm starting to backlash against that. I said some things, I think it was last week, about decolonize, and I don't want to be involved in, like, white culture. And I think maybe the way that that's coming out needs to be, it needs to be thought about, but, like, I do feel there's a way in, like, the direction of where some of my frustration is coming from is relevant. So this week, what's been going on is I've, kind of over the past 2 weeks, I've gotten very frustrated and started, working on hanging out with more of the Hispanics at work. In my personal time, I have Rosetta Stone, and I've been going in, and I'm just, like, really trying to pump in hard on learning the Spanish. Rome wasn't built in a day, so it's not going to happen as quickly as I wanted. But I'm tired of not being able to speak this language. So, it's like, one of the things that I'm seeing, and something that gives me a lot of respect for my cousin, I'm putting on deodorant. One of the things that gives me a lot of respect for my cousin is that she seems to kind of get where I'm coming from. Like we socialize in the same way. So, back in 2011, what happened was I cut off my finger, and it got sewed back on it, so I wasn't able to work for 6 months. And I got deeply involved with Anonymous, and I got pulled into the Middle East. Like what was going on with Anonymous was it was just this hype. So pretty much if you were flying the flag, like if you had the Guy Fawkes mask as your profile picture, and I'm sure that still goes to a certain extent. However, I feel like since Sabu, Anonymous has been to an extent infiltrated by the CIA. So I'm very careful about how I tread up in there now. But we had a lot going on that was causing a political uproar, and I wound up getting involved in Middle Eastern affairs. Part of it was I was really curious about these people that everybody's hating on, and another part of it is they were showing up and they were crying out for help, and I wound up getting involved with, like, citizens that they need someone to talk to, and some of the political uproar that's going on is involving political decisions that are happening in these countries where there's revolt, with the Arab Spring. And when somebody comes on and says, tell me, is this wrong? Is it wrong to be killing people because it makes me feel horrible? Then, yeah, I'm going to tell them, yeah, it's wrong to be killing people. That's why you feel horrible. Just because you're surrounded by crazy doesn't mean that you're crazy. Like, this is how I see things from where I'm at, and just kind of reflecting on those perspectives. And part of it's like, our governments are fighting each other, but we don't hate each other. Every single country, like within Anonymous, we were debating our political situations and trying to find solutions to that. And a good chunk of it was working. So I've been involved with people in Syria, Tunisia, Libya have been my main areas. I had a contact in Egypt whom I lost connection with because of what happened with Sabu. But I started to learn Arabic. I got very close to these people and was working on how we deal with the political situation out there. How do we deal with your personal problems that are coming from the political situation out there? What can we do as individuals to try and find peace with what we've got, which is civilians with computers, without fighting and guns and stuff, And in a way, it comes down to the power of influence. But it's been a very impactful experience, and here at home, I've spent some time hanging out with Muslim immigrants. They're wonderful people. They see things a little bit differently, but I understand, culturally, a good deal of the stuff that's going on, the mannerisms. They understand culturally, what's going on from my end, so it's since I'm not wearing a hijab and stuff like that, they've been pretty accepting of that, hanging out with Muslim men and stuff. But we've gotten to a point where, for me, the killing and the violence that's been happening in the Middle East it makes me emotionally distraught, these people are suffering, they're reaching out to me for help, how can I help? And things they've gotten to a point where it's okay, I want to help, but there's only so much I can do from over here. And especially since Sabu ruined what we had going on, it's been harder and harder to try and help those people. And what I realize is that there's an extent to which we have a war going on the home front here. And is it more my responsibility to be helping these people over there who, I've gained great skills from being involved with them, or get involved in what's happening on my homeland and try to create peace here? And in the United States, our political situation has been escalating, so I do feel that it is relevant for me to become directly involved in what's happening on the home front and put the Middle East on the back burner for now. And, that went on for a good 4 years, so that was what I knew was Middle Eastern affairs. But now, so it's what I've had too is the cultural experience. And part of it is learning some French, because in Tunisia, and parts of the northern Middle East, it's French. There's different dialects of Arabic, and it's one of the things I said last week is about decolonize is that English is my language, and in that I am his slave, and there's a lot of sickness in American culture, but I only see it kind of in this certain area. And I've always been a person who's very curious, very open-minded, and so I've done if I'm hanging out with Asians, I will habitually bow, it's a subconscious behavior that if I respect somebody and appreciate what they're doing, I bow. And so that's just an example of where my cultural experience has taken me. And so, I've hung out with Vietnamese, Korean, that lady was Korean, I really like the Japanese people, a little bit of Chinese, and, I work in harmony with the Hispanics, and also the Muslims, are people who I've connected with, so, I don't struggle in communicating with these people who are different, and I feel, so I'm going to elaborate on what I said and what I see, and apologize for if I made you feel bad about where you come from, but I want these things to be understood. That it seems like it is fairly normal and commonplace within certain cultural aspects. And I don't experience this with the Japanese, the Muslim, people of color. I don't experience this, and I know, like, and I've also been involved with the Black Panthers, and there's a lot of stuff going around with that's not true, as being said. And it's like with the with African American culture too. There's issues with like the pop music and the hatred that's coming out of that, and that is not who they are. And they're starting to identify themselves with that. And some people, and that's not healthy. And who's making that decision? And why would we choose to identify with something like that, to disrespect women and all this stuff? And it's just like a big part of the political debate with the people that I'm most concerned with right now is, respect with women and generally just respect. And like for me, like I was raised on respect. You respect the other people, you respect the animals, and you gotta respect yourself. And when I see the disrespectful behavior and I see it as a cultural norm, it makes me angry and it makes me upset. And I feel like within a certain social arena within the United States, so call it white culture if you will, and I mean historically that is relevant. There's a lot of that going on where it seems to be considered normal or commonplace to be speaking negatively about women and speaking negatively about people of different cultural origins. And I just want to remind people that that is not normal and it is not okay. And what it is it's a divisive tool of control. Because it's so, again, like I mentioned this earlier, Torn and Porter, A Call to Men, what you get what you negotiate. I find that to be a truth. And when you allow certain behaviors, they continue to manifest. And I really want to drive it home that we need to be speaking up against this bullshit. And for women, like, what needs to be understood, like, if you're a man, what needs to be understood is that, like what I'm talking about here is the struggle that minorities go through. And I think it's funny that women will be treated as a minority. And I don't think any minority should be treated with ill will. But I think it's really funny that women are like 50% of the population or something, and we're treated as a minority, like we're treated as social outcasts. And, what you need to understand is that, like, as human beings, what we have to look at and what we have to understand as a reality and speak about with each other and find ways to deal with us as individuals, because these problems are rampant, is like sexual assault. And with that, I mean, it's like 2 out of every 3 women, I think, have been like raped or something, or 1 out of every 3. I think it's 2 out of every 3. It's a significant other, or a significant number. I mean, you could pretty much ask a woman if she's been like raped, and there's a good likelihood they're gonna say yeah. That is a physical assault that has serious ramifications. It's not the same as someone punching you and getting in a fight. It is much worse. It has psychological ramifications. There's STDs that could be spread that way. There's there's murders that take place. Men will kill a woman for her body. Like these dead children that they find. That have been raped, and it is a very serious issue. Women are kidnapped just so people can use their bodies. And to me, that is absolutely insane that men could be so irrational that they would feel in a way to even behave that way towards another human being. And this is what we have to deal with, and this is what we have to understand as women. amongst ourselves. Like, we are human beings. We do have conversations. We do have things that we deal with. And to make light of how serious that stuff is a very sad behavior culturally. And it is reinforcing of the violence and the negativity and the fear that we have to experience as individuals in our daily lives, of what we have to deal with, and the struggle and the fight to just survive and to find happiness. And I know that life's not easy for anyone, but the troubles that we have to deal with as women, I do feel surmount what men have to deal with. Other than that, culturally, there seems to be a lot more of this aggression allowance within white culture. And when I say white culture, what I mean is that the circles it seems to circulate within the most would be those from Irish, German, English ancestry. So culturally, if you look at it, we have the Germans who, there's a lot of alcohol involved. And Hitler was a part of the situation, so there could be German Americans who, simply because of their German lineage, choose to identify with racism. Within the Irish, there was a lot of drinking, and the Irish also pride themselves on fighting as a culture. English, again, another race or ethnic background that comes from a history of violence and conquering. I don't know too much about the Italians. I can't say anything about that. But these are things to think about, and my understanding is the Caucasian is the primary ethnicity in the United States. And I want to elaborate on, things that are taking place right now. You all are immigrants. The only people who should not be considered immigrants in the United States are the Native Americans. You all come from immigrant lineage. And to speak low of immigrants or people who are different than you is just ridiculous. And this needs to stop. And it needs to not be tolerated. And if you hear it, you need to speak up against it. You need to remove yourself from it. You need to understand boundary setting and set those boundaries and walk away from people who want to draw in that negativity. Because we should not be living this way as a nation. So, if anybody feels like, with what I said last week, that I have, kind of put a wall between us or shut you out, I just want you to understand, if you can understand what I'm saying and respect what I'm saying, then I respect you. It's nothing to do with you personally. I'm personally, I value education and intelligence and realistic understanding of the world. Those are my highest values. And when it comes to who I choose to have as friends, that's what matters to me. I'm not down with playing this hokey game that I see a lot of people playing. I don't want to be friends with a lot of people because people play in that game where they choose to be uneducated, where, the cultural norm is to be drinking and acting like an asshole, talking shit about people who are simply just different than you. And what it does is it puts up cultural barriers. And what that does is that takes from your experience in life, it keeps you in a negative space, it keeps you in a slavery state of mind, and it's not beneficial to you nor the people on the other side. And if the behavior is going to continue culturally within the Caucasian society of continuing to be self-degrading as well as degrading of others, I do expect that the people on the cultural high road of the other side of the fence who are being mistreated as a result of these types of comfortable conversations these people are having will rise up and take over. So, if you're choosing a spouse or trying to build a family or trying to build a future, don't even have these people involved who are bringing in the negative norms. Do not allow that to reinforce. Because in every other culture that I've been involved in, that behavior is not acceptable. So, in my opinion, the people who see that that is wrong far actually outnumber the people who are making it a cultural norm. But the problem is, the people who see that that is wrong are not as loud as the assholes are. And so the assholes make it seem like it's a cultural norm because they're so brazen. And the reason why they behave that way is because of their low self-esteem. They need to reaffirm themselves in a way that is not true so that they can ignore their own lives and ignore what is going on in their own lives and ignore what they need to do and look somewhere else because it's uncomfortable for them. It is a personal psychological problem that they have that makes them behave that way. And the problem is when they start traveling in packs. And somebody needs to be available to remind everybody that that is not okay so that it does not become prevalent. And as of right now, it is prevalent. And historically, it has been prevalent in the United States. And for me, I don't want to walk on that side of the fence. And if that means I have to be alone or whatever, like, I will rather be alone than deal with that. However, I know that I'm not, so I am just simply have found myself walking on the wrong side of the fence. I'm not being socially accepted. I'm not being understood or listened to. So you know what? I am going back to where I belong, hanging out with people from different cultural backgrounds who actually understand reality. So here's what one of the things, here's what's going on in my life personally right now. I'm working on my Spanish, because that is a language with a lot more people that I'm going to be able to, relate to and have more diverse conversation because they're more readily available. In the Spanish language is something I can more easily just find myself simply speaking in any public place than any other language. So I'm working on that right now. I've been able to communicate in Spanish. A lot of people that I've spoken with speak some Spanish, some English. And that's another thing I find with other cultures is a lot of Caucasians do not speak multiple languages, but most people from other cultures do. So what I actually consider a norm is for somebody to be multilingual. And I feel like anybody who is not multilingual actually has a big barrier standing between them and understanding the world, because most people are multilingual, and in that they have a very deprived experience of reality and are lacking in a lot. And the political environment that we're stuck in right now does not help, and it should not be considered appropriate or respected or really allowed. So historically in the United States, I do want to let you know one of the things that happened with the Irish was they were kept segregated. I think at Ellis Island, they were culturally shamed. I did think that they had to walk around and identify themselves for a while when they first started to immigrate in the United States. And then the internment camps with the Japanese. African Americans were treated as slaves. People who want to talk about how African Americans don't have cultural problems in it, I do see walls on both sides with the African Americans still, and but also there's cultural historical issues that come into play because there was in economics, if you watch The Ascent of Money, African Americans have been culturally enslaved past the slavery years. And one of the things that happened was there was a housing boom where they wanted to try and draw average Americans into home ownership. And so if you watch The Ascent of Money, there's a documentary, you can actually get information on this. The African Americans were not really involved in the housing boom. So again, and that caused a whole neighborhood go up in flames. There's been continued cultural segregation for African Americans that they're still trying to push through. And if you look at certain areas of the United States, the ghetto, where there's been constant deprivation, and when you're born somewhere and you're stuck somewhere, and that's what surrounds you, that's where you wind up. And so when these neighborhoods that African Americans have been kept in over time, and not been able to move out of, to grow out of, to expand beyond, there's a lot of people still stuck there geographically who are struggling to get out of hell. These things are still going on, and when we talk about things like build the wall, deport all these people, and I'm seeing it a lot in the political situation, and it's bleeding over that certain people with negative mind states think that it's okay to now socially express these viewpoints. It is not. And it's very funny to see economically the backwards direction that this type of speech is taking the United States in. So, and the subconscious effects that it's having on individuals. Because I've heard this kind of hate speech come out of people unknowingly that I would not expect it to come out of people that I know that are close to me, to say things about well, whites are now becoming a minority. Well, deal with it. It does not matter. That is not something that matters. We are all people here. And that, to me, when I heard that come out of a family member, to me that is so much exposure to the constant negative that they now feel it is okay to speak that way, and it has become a subconscious something that this person is saying that they're not thinking about what it really means. So I want to talk, I'm an educated person, and one of the things historically, one of the things that's going on that I see backwards movement in the United States economy now with this, is that one of the things that causes an economy to thrive, and one of the reasons why the United States economy has been able to thrive, is because of cultural, social variety. And when you take a lot of people with way different perspectives, because they come from different cultural backgrounds, and you put them all in a room, right? You put them all in a room, and they have a discussion. The conclusions that will be made, so if there's a problem and it needs to be solved, the opinions that will be offered will be so diverse that it is more likely to find a solution, is more likely to find efficacy. So when you have a small nation that, what they produce is fish, and all they know is that they produce fish, and they're wondering why they can't climb in the economy because they've been stuck in producing fish so long. There is a lot that can be achieved in the intelligence market. And when you get a lot of different minds together, you get more complicated products, you get things that serve more deeper needs, and that creates economic diversity and therefore a robust economy. And in Canada, so historically what's happening right now, in Canada, there's been a history of a good deal of racism, and they now have their leader, I can't remember the proper title for a Canadian leader, but their new guy is promoting economic diversity. And if you've been watching the news, one of the things he's doing is actually inviting refugees in, where the United States is actually trying to deny them entry. It is because of that. It is because it will create economic robustness. That is the sole main primary purpose of that behavior. It enriches society. So if you want to think about the things that we love in America, there's spaghetti, there's pizza, spaghetti Italian, pasta Italian, Burritos, I'm sorry, but like, even if you want to talk shit about Latin America, which is what you should be calling the southern region that is below the United States, burritos come from there, you know. A lot of people eat them. Taco Bell is a thriving business. Sushi is something that people love. Chinese food. A lot of these things have been Americanized in diet. So the food that you eat comes from a history of immigration. If you're against immigration, man, you should stick yourself to everything that's going to make you fat and die, because that's American food right there. Cheeseburgers and fries. Limit yourself to that. Anything that's going to send you into cardiac arrest. And then, thank God, you know, if you actually live by your principles and eat the shit that you wallow in, I love my country, but the bad behavior needs to stop. You know, maybe these guys will depopulate themselves if they actually start living by their principles. Because Lord knows we sure need less of that behavior and that mindset of thinking that people who are different are lesser than you. So yes, with the current political debate, if it happens to be successful, then we are in a direction of economic decline. Now, one thing that may be worth investigating, and I'm hearing a lot, is that these people that are getting deported are actually being kept in something similar to internment camps. So they're actually not going back home. They're being kept prisoner, and they're being made to work for free. So they're actually just being locked up and utilized as slaves. So that is not okay. That is something very concerning that is going on with this whole mass deportation, which here in Colorado we're not really seeing the effects of right now, because Colorado is a safe zone. We have a robust political environment that we live in, of people who are socially aware, and we work on our problems together. So if you live here, then you're not seeing these as much as people may be seeing them in the other part of the United States. Well, let's talk about my personal experience of what's been going on here recently. So I am just choosing to respect my friends who have established themselves in my lives, but I'm not happy with my social life right now, and I'm also not happy with what I'm seeing in the general social arena. For me, I like to get exercise personally. I like to take care of my health. I care about what I eat. I care about how I treat others. I care about how others treat me. I do not believe that racism or hate speech should be considered socially accepted. I don't think in religion that it's okay to think that of any human being as lesser than, or any living creature really as lesser than. So I need to find people I can get along with, and even within my friendships. And same thing with substance abuse, especially like religiously. I highly value my mind. I highly value education, and within like the people that I hang out with, there are people who are like have a good like certain amounts of awareness where I can connect with them. Like people I've chosen to have in my life, I feel like I can connect with on a deeper level than most. But still, there's still deep blockages that really bother me personally that I have a hard time surpassing, and it's the substance abuse. That's the big deal. I really don't even allow people in my social arena who say hateful things. So I am reducing on the amount of whites that I'm allowing into my social life, simply because of the cultural norms that I have become so unhappy with how my social life is becoming since I have stopped with this past 4 years of trying to run business, and I'm trying to reestablish my life. I'm less business focused and now more personally focused, and I don't want it around me. I don't consider it normal. I don't consider it happy. So yes, I am establishing new friendships and moving on, and not allowing that in my personal life. And one of the things that really irritates me is it seems like it's so hard to get these people I know off their asses to go out and do something good. And I'm like, almost 30. I want to go get, like, exercise and stuff, and I see that as a social activity and would really enjoy doing that with other people, and am not really getting an opportunity to do so. There's a lot of people I know who are my age that are just, like, out of shape, unhealthy, they just can't do that kind of stuff. And also so unhealthy that they don't even feel motivated. So, I've got new friends from Honduras. Dude's like almost 40, he's a lot older than me, my new good friend, and he plays soccer. So that shows me a clear divide in, like, who I need to be hanging out with, and that my social influences have not been so good lately, and just trying to be a normal person here. So, I mean, yeah. And when I look at Barack Obama, I mean, I don't necessarily agree. I feel like the office of presidency revolves around money. None of these people are necessarily good. It's all about money. So I don't trust the office of presidency. But I mean, there are things about Barack Obama that could be considered, him as an exemplary leader. One of the things I would love to just come out and say about Donald Trump is just, like, I would really love to start directly mocking him as a fat ass, because I find the person himself is absolutely a disgusting money laundering criminal. And he's fat and disgusting. Like, there's nothing, the way he speaks, I feel like we're closing in on him being more directly exposed in his criminal activity. And as a business person myself, I don't see how he could be able to thrive in the business environment, because he does not speak like a business professional. He does not behave like a business professional. He does not act like a leader. And he does not treat himself as though he were a person of power. Something weird is going on there, and I think that he is involved in a very deep running criminal ring. And it is exemplified by his behavior and his physical health. But Barack Obama, as soon as he left office, he goes straight to wakeboarding with Richard Branson. Richard Branson is a well-known business leader who also stands by ethical principles and is considered a role model in the business arena. And one of the things that I find is extremely vital to being a quality leader and being successful in the business arena, if you are to actually be successful, then it's not just about business. It's not just about leadership. A great leader, this is what I see to be reinforced and what I strive towards in my own life. A great leader is not just like a workaholic. And some people seem to have this going on in their mind, that is what a great leader is, or how to achieve success in their life by being a workaholic. That is absolutely wrong. But a great leader is someone who knows, who really understands value in life. And that is a value of education, a value. So a person who is continuously educating themselves and aware of their environment to be able to lead others in a correct and effective fashion, an educated person who understands the value of education and continues to educate themselves and knows how little they actually know and behaves with humility as a result. Also, a person who understands work-life balance. That being an insane workaholic is not a way to live, and that there are things and value in life, and strives towards respecting those values, that we will die someday, and if you spend your whole time plundering away at work and only focused on work, then your time will pass you by, and do not expect to have a family, a wife or a husband, or a child, or those things of value that you will regret not having on your deathbed. Common regrets in life. Not getting close to anybody. Treating the people who try to get close to you, treating the people who care about you with disregard, and they leave. A person who understands that their child, their daughter, their son is important enough to make time for, to spend time with, to go out and do things with, to enjoy the experience of life with, to enrich the life of, to establish, develop, care for, maintain, make time for, deliberately, caring for others, establishing healthy and positive, nurturing relationships, and nurturing those relationships. Taking care of your home life, having a clean house, enjoying your time to yourself, enjoying the time you spend with others, having good adventure, having nice relaxation, having that peaceful comfort. There's talk among experienced business leaders, the lion's den, people in their 40s, 30 plus, your older business leaders. They understand how important this is, that you can work and work and work and work and work and work and work, and really it's not going to change a damn thing, because there will always be work to do. A good leader knows how to delegate appropriately. That if that is all you care about, those things that matter in life will pass you by. And that you have to consciously make the choice to make time for other people and for yourself. A great leader takes care of their health. And as an educated person, a great leader understands the reasons why to do so. And when you take care of your health, you have energy. Your memory capacities work effectively. You can enjoy a variety of extracurricular tasks, like wakeboarding, playing basketball, going skateboarding, going scuba, all those things. You feel better. You are more capable. You can step up to a situation and be able to move those things and be a part of the team that you lead by being capable and behaving as one of them, being with them. That is the difference between a leader and a tyrant. Someone who is with the people, not someone who yells at the people and tells them what to do. Virtue. So on my wall here I have frugalitas, frugalness, economy, and simplicity of style without being miserly. So knowing how to manage your money without making yourself completely miserable. Not being a glut. Industriousness, hard work. Salubritas, wholesomeness and cleanliness. Firmitas, tenacity, strength of mind, the ability to stick to one's purpose. Virtue is a way to thrive in society. But these are the qualities of a great leader, a great person, someone who should be admired, adored, and loved, that deserves to be loved. And more people need to value these things. And if you're going to live a good quality life, spreading the word of hatred and isolating yourself to an environment where that thrives is not going to take you through a life, into a life bring you into the experience of joy, love, and happiness. And being isolated to that environment of negativity could act as a blinder where you don't even know what you're really missing out on, which is here on the other side. We have all these things because we treat each other with respect, love, we work hard, we care passionately about what we're doing, and we feel good. So, back to the issue of so here's what's going on in my personal life. I've been derailed. I have a variety. My life is constant intensity. And I am continuously in a situation of measuring opportunities while comparing myself to the opportunities that consistently persist, because I place myself in an environment where the opportunities are constantly available, where I must make sound judgments and calculate my moves so that I am able to both grow and obtain my objectives of comfort, happiness in my life. And I am amazed that there is actually more on the plate than what I've been choosing to see. But I also need to calculate very carefully, because I'm being offered another business opportunity that will put me working about 60 hours a week. And I have a person that I love in my life, and I'm trying to work on my social life. And one of my major goals at this time is to maintain a healthy social life after 4 years of continuous strain running new startups, which took me nowhere. I need to really just step out and externalize and not allow myself to become so engulfed in the business arena again in my life ever, and maintain this work-life balance, because if I don't choose now, it will never happen. But I also need to obtain financial independence, and so I'm at a standstill where I've got a variety of options, and I really need to pick carefully. I really need to calculate what I'm doing with my resources very carefully. So I need to, at this time, what I'm doing is I'm quietly introspecting and making my moves. And so I do kind of need to be alone to a certain extent right now. But I also need my healthy social life, because there's a part of my happiness, and a part of my happiness that I've ignored. A part of my happiness that I need that's been set aside for too long now. So, I've become upset and unhappy in trying to redevelop my social life with this, what I'm calling white culture disease problem that is going on in the United States, and working on my Spanish. And so I'm, especially with some little Nazi fuck running around at my work putting swastikas all over everything, make me angry, talking shit about go back to Mexico. I've been talking to the Hispanics at work, and none of them are from Mexico. Like, we got dudes from Puerto Rico and dudes from Honduras. So the guys from Honduras, one of them's an islander. So he's like an island dude, you know? So this whole misconception about beans and shit, this dude eats seafood, man. So, I mean, these people that are seeing this hate speech that's directed towards them, I'm sure they find it hilarious. I haven't talked to them about it yet. I'm getting ready to. I'm sure they find it hilarious because they're not even from Mexico. We need the ethnic diversity if we're to thrive economically. Other than that, what I expect is that now that my attention has diverted in my social experience back to where it was, in a place where I was happy, I'm moving out of a place where I'm becoming unhappy. which is ironic. It's only lasted a short time, but I've just become deeply saddened and frustrated by the experience, and the political arena has a lot to do with it. But I know that I am in for a lot of great food, great conversation, and really fun stuff. Hanging out with these new people. And I'm going to be learning so much. I'm going to be learning about different places of the world. I'm going to have all these different experiences. And you know what? It's because I'm open-minded to it. Like I'm having a hard time getting my boyfriend to go out and do different things. And it's like, I don't, like for example, like, I don't necessarily, like, play a lot of basketball. You know, it's not something I really am into. But I would like to go do it because it's not something I've really done for a lot of years. And I think it would just be enjoyable to do for one day, you know. And when I do these kinds of things, you know, it opens my mind up, and I just have fun. And that's the thing about it. I'm not a closed-minded person. I have so much fun. I love my life so much. I enjoy my life so much. I have so much fun. I'm so happy. And I've been unhappy for a short period of time, but I am stepping away from that because I know better. So, I mean, I'm driving it home on the Spanish because I feel like English being my primary language is now becoming a barrier, and I need to be more like these other, more intelligent people who are multilingual. That is intelligence. These Hispanics know, a lot of them know English and Spanish, and a lot of these people that in the culture that I am pushing away from, they just predominant. I mean, there's talk about, well, they should speak our language and stuff. I know that's not so much, but I mean, question yourself as to why you aren't more like these other people. What are you missing out on here? Like, have you ever thought about what you're missing out on by not being open enough to talk to these people who are different than you? Stop being so isolated in your personal social bubble of what you're so comfortable with, what you're so used to, and start really enjoying the experience of experiencing something new, because let me tell you, it will create an abundance of joy in your life. So, that's where I'm coming from. I am actually going to calm down and calm back up for Facebook, because I have some things to say to my personal network about some further observations I'm making here. One of the things too, on a final note, with my intelligence, I'm not the smartest. I know that my intelligence is like above average. I don't see myself like above other people, but I do see myself as different, and I know that it is not socially acceptable. Like, it makes people uncomfortable that I am so open about like how I see the world in these ways that may be considered judgmental. So that's why I choose to like elaborate so much by including so much detail. But my ultimate opinion, because some of the literature that I've been diving into talks about like you know, like I wanna start bringing people up. I don't want other people bringing me down. I want to bring people up with me, and like I want to help you feel like that happiness I feel and stuff. You know, and help you see some of these things that are really important that you're missing out on, that could enrich your life. But it's like it's like this stuff that I'm reading defensively here. Some literature that could be considered dark, and I do disagree with some of the principles. And I see, however, how it could be used against me, and what I strive for, and what good people I know are trying to help succeed, which is that positive, happy movement of a great life. And I want to remind everybody that if you really look at the history of the United States, there's a long history of segregation, racial aggression, and it just needs to stop. And it is so sad because it is continuing. It is continuing. And all that really does is it takes away from the experience of joy that we could all be having by getting to know each other. you know, this immigrants debate, one of the things that's happening in Turkey right now is Syrian refugees who, bless those people. They're so sweet. They are culturally diverse. I love the Syrian people with my heart, That is a great nation that is, unfortunately, under the struggle of a land grab as a central territory right now. But the Syrian people themselves really have set themselves apart in the Arab nations as being culturally diverse. They had a thriving culture before this war. But in Turkey, I saw an article, it just broke my heart. There's been violence against the refugees, and there's a kid, there's a lot of young children who aren't getting any schooling right now that have come over as refugees. One kid wanted to play soccer and was pushed out of the soccer field. That's all he wanted to do was play with the other kids. And so he don't see himself as so different, This hatred has to stop. And if I'm reaching people in other nations, hear what I have to say because it's happening where you live too. This hatred needs to stop. And, these people that are coming from different places because they want, look up to us at wherever we live, whatever country, they want to experience our culture, or they were forced into our culture. They are diamonds in the rough. They really are. They have the most to offer. If you could stop being so selfish and open your heart and lend your ears, they're very strong people. They're wise, and they are extremely intelligent to be able to adapt to a new environment in such a way. And the United States is no different than Turkey, These great people, these wonderful, enriching people to have around, who should be receiving love and respect, are not receiving that. And it is a great misfortune. And it is the historical continuance that we are seeing of the opposite of what should be really happening, which is we should be embracing these people because they are special. So, that's a big part of what's happening over here in my world. Other than that, I'm just trying to, I am laying kind of low right now. I'm sick with the flu. I've gone balls to the wall recently. There's been a lot of change, a lot of rapid change in my life. And I just kind of need to, slow down, externalize, work on these skills that I value, like taking care of my health, managing my schedule, maintaining a healthy social life, monitoring my finances, developing my new financial resources, and I just got to slow down. So I read 79 pages in a book last night. I'm gonna try to knock out hopefully 2 books this weekend. A book is really short, so if you really dedicate yourself to read them, they're just pretty much nothing worth of knowledge, one book. So you really, I'm going to try to be pounding this shit down and try to actually rapidly increase my IQ by 1 or 2 points at least, because what needs to happen right now, I think, with where I'm at with my standstill, is I need to broaden my how I see the world by pushing forward on a great deal of education, so I can get past whatever blockage I feel I'm experiencing right now. And if I do a lot of reading and learning right now, then I know that I could bring my IQ up, and my IQ is my ability to diversely analyze situations, my ability to kind of see things different, And so, by reading a lot, it'll like change my perspective and stuff. So that's what I'm working on right now. So I can just kind of change how I see the world and kind of move forward in a more effective direction from where I'm at now. So I'm kind of just like on the lay low, being quiet. I'm gonna talk to you guys about some literature when I come back on Facebook. But yeah, I need to put that out there about the racism and kind of say what I have to say about that in a more clean manner than what I did when I was kind of upset